Consumer pain point classification in market strategy, a professional perspective. Pain point classification dimensions. Functional pain points. Efficiency gaps. Efficiency gaps often manifest as slow processes and complex workflows. For example, a lengthy checkout process in e-commerce can lead to cart abandonment rates as high as 70%. In the software industry, complex user interfaces can reduce productivity by up to 30%, as users spend more time navigating than completing tasks. Quality issues. Quality issues such as product defects can significantly impact customer satisfaction. For instance, a study by the American Customer Satisfaction Index found that a 10% improvement in product quality can increase customer loyalty by 20%. Inconsistent performance is another key issue. For example, in the automotive industry, vehicles with frequent breakdowns can lead to a 40% drop in brand trust. Cost burdens. High pricing is a major pain point for consumers. According to a survey by Deloitte, 60% of consumers prioritize cost when making a purchase decision, especially in price-sensitive markets like groceries. Hidden fees can erode trust. In the airline industry, unexpected baggage fees can reduce customer satisfaction by up to 25%, as reported by J.D. Power. Emotional pain points. Poor user experience. Confusing interfaces can lead to significant frustration. For example, a study by Nielsen Norman Group found that users are 80% more likely to abandon a website if they find it difficult to navigate. Slow customer support can exacerbate negative emotions. A survey by HubSpot revealed that 90% of customers are more likely to switch brands if they experience poor customer service. Psychological insecurity. Privacy concerns are a major emotional pain point. According to a Pew Research Center survey, 79% of consumers are worried about how companies use their data. Lack of post-purchase guarantees can lead to buyer's remorse. For example, a study by the Consumer Reports found that 45% of consumers are more likely to regret a purchase if there is no return policy. Identity misalignment. Brand values conflicting with user beliefs can lead to disengagement. For example, a study by Edelman found that 64% of consumers will choose, switch, avoid, or boycott a brand based on its stance on social or political issues. In the beauty industry, brands that do not align with ethical sourcing can lose up to 35% of their customer base, as reported by a survey by Mintel. Social pain points. Lack of social currency. Products that fail to enhance social status can be a significant pain point. For example, a study by Harvard Business Review found that 70% of consumers consider a product's social status value when making a purchase. In the luxury goods market, brands that do not offer exclusivity can see a 50% drop in customer interest. Fear of social judgment. Stigma from using a product can deter potential customers. For example, in the mental health app market, users are 60% less likely to download an app if they fear social judgment, according to a survey by the National Alliance on Mental Illness. In the fitness industry, products that are perceived as too difficult can lead to a 40% drop in engagement due to fear of judgment. Cultural misalignment. Sustainability practices mismatched with user values can lead to brand rejection. For example, a study by Accenture found that 62% of consumers prefer to buy from brands that are environmentally responsible. In the food industry, brands that do not offer sustainable packaging can lose up to 30% of their market share, as reported by a survey by the Sustainable Packaging Coalition. Pain point classification tools. Kano model. Basic needs. Basic needs are essential features that customers expect. For example, in the smartphone market, a functioning camera is a basic need. A survey by Gartner found that 95% of users consider a working camera as a must-have feature. Identifying basic needs helps prioritize critical gaps. For example, a software company found that 80% of users rated data security as a basic need, prompting immediate action to address vulnerabilities. Performance needs. Performance needs are features that directly correlate with satisfaction. For example, in the e-commerce industry, fast shipping is a performance need. A study by McKinsey found that a 20% reduction in shipping time can increase customer satisfaction by 30%. Plotting performance needs on the Kano matrix helps allocate resources effectively. For example, a tech company used the Kano model to identify that improving battery life, a performance need, would have a significant impact on user satisfaction. Delighters. Delighters are unexpected features that add value. For example, in the automotive industry, a self-parking feature is a delighter. A survey by J.D. Power found that 70% of consumers consider such features as added value. Investing in delighters can differentiate a brand. For example, a mobile app that offers personalized recommendations, a delighter, saw a 50% increase in user engagement. Customer journey mapping. Awareness stage. The awareness stage is where customers first learn about a product. For example, a study by Forrester found that 80% of consumers discover new products through online searches. Identifying pain points at this stage helps improve discoverability. For example, a brand found that unclear product descriptions led to a 30% drop in click-through rates. Consideration stage. The consideration stage involves evaluating options. For example, a survey by HubSpot found that 75% of consumers read reviews before making a purchase. Mapping pain points here helps enhance the evaluation process. For example, a company found that complex pricing plans led to a 40% drop in conversion rates. Purchase stage. The purchase stage is critical for closing deals. For example, a study by Baymard Institute found that 60% of shopping carts are abandoned due to a complicated checkout process. Redesigning touch points at this stage can significantly improve conversion rates. For example, a retailer simplified its checkout process and saw a 25% increase in completed purchases. Customer journey mapping. Awareness stage. The awareness stage is where customers first learn about a product. For example, a study by Forrester found that 80% of consumers discover new products through online searches. Identifying pain points at this stage helps improve discoverability. For example, a brand found that unclear product descriptions led to a 30% drop in click-through rates. Consideration stage. The consideration stage involves evaluating options. For example, a survey by HubSpot found that 75% of consumers read reviews before making a purchase. Mapping pain points here helps enhance the evaluation process. For example, a company found that complex pricing plans led to a 40% drop in conversion rates. Purchase stage. The purchase stage is critical for closing deals. For example, a study by Baymard Institute found that 60% of shopping carts are abandoned due to a complicated checkout process. Redesigning touch points at this stage can significantly improve conversion rates. For example, a retailer simplified its checkout process and saw a 25% increase in completed purchases. Case studies. Case 1, Ride-sharing platforms, functional focus. Surge pricing. Surge pricing can lead to customer dissatisfaction. For example, a study by the University of California found that surge pricing can reduce ride requests by up to 50%. Implementing dynamic pricing algorithms can balance supply and demand. For example, a ride-sharing company used machine learning to predict demand peaks and adjust prices accordingly, reducing surge frequency by 30%. Driver shortages. Driver shortages can lead to long wait times. For example, a survey by J.D. Power found that 70% of users are frustrated with long wait times. Offering incentives to drivers during peak times can increase availability. For example, a ride-sharing platform introduced bonuses for drivers during high-demand periods, increasing driver participation by 40%. Safety concerns. Safety concerns can deter users. For example, a study by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration found that 80% of users prioritize safety features. In-app safety features like SOS buttons and ride-sharing with trusted contacts can enhance safety. For example, a ride-sharing app introduced these features and saw a 25% increase in user trust. Case 2, Mental health apps, emotional focus. Stigma. Stigma can prevent users from seeking help. For example, a survey by the National Alliance on Mental Illness found that 60% of users avoid mental health apps due to stigma. Anonymous community forums can reduce stigma. For example, a mental health app introduced anonymous forums and saw a 50% increase in user engagement. Lack of personalized support. Lack of personalized support can lead to user burnout. For example, a study by the American Psychological Association found that 75% of users prefer personalized mental health solutions. AI-driven mood tracking and tailored coping strategies can enhance user experience. For example, a mental health app used AI to offer personalized support, resulting in a 40% increase in user retention. User burnout. User burnout can lead to app abandonment. For example, a survey by the App Store found that 50% of users uninstall mental health apps due to burnout. Implementing gentle reminders and optional engagement can reduce burnout. For example, a mental health app introduced flexible engagement options and saw a 30% decrease in app abandonment. Case 3. Sustainable fashion brands, social focus. Fast fashion's environmental impact. Fast fashion has a significant environmental impact. For example, a study by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation found that the fashion industry is responsible for 10% of global carbon emissions. Transparent supply chain certifications can build trust. For example, a sustainable fashion brand introduced B Corp certification and saw a 50% increase in customer loyalty. Greenwashing distrust. Greenwashing can erode trust. For example, a survey by the Consumer Reports found that 70% of consumers distrust brands that make vague sustainability claims. Clear and verifiable sustainability claims can enhance brand reputation. For example, a fashion brand introduced fair trade certification and saw a 40% increase in customer trust. Promoting circular economy values. Promoting circular economy values can drive engagement. For example, a study by the World Economic Forum found that 80% of consumers prefer brands that support circular economy practices. Buyback programs can promote sustainability. For example, a sustainable fashion brand introduced a buyback program and saw a 35% increase in customer retention. Strategic implications. 4.1 Prioritization. Addressing functional pain points can retain users. For example, a study by Bain & Company found that improving functional aspects can increase customer retention by 30%. Focusing on emotional pain points can differentiate a brand. For example, a survey by Forrester found that addressing emotional needs can increase customer loyalty by 45%. Tackling social pain points can build brand loyalty. For example, a study by Edelman found that addressing social issues can increase brand advocacy by 50%. Measurement. Tracking pain point evolution is crucial. For example, using Net Promoter Score, NPS, can help measure customer satisfaction. A study by Satmetrix found that a 10-point increase in NPS can lead to a 20% increase in revenue. Customer Effort Score, CES, can also be useful. For example, a survey by Gartner found that reducing customer effort can increase satisfaction by 25%. Innovation. Combining behavioral economics and psychology can drive innovation. For example, using the loss aversion principle can increase user engagement. A study by the Behavioral Economics Guide found that highlighting potential losses can increase user actions by 30%. Applying the peak-end rule can enhance user experience. For example, a survey by the Journal of Consumer Research found that focusing on positive endings can increase user satisfaction by 40%.